I don't really think of myself as an artistic conformist or any other type. And if anybody tells me I can't do things, many times I'll try. But I've had dreams where I have control over of fire torches coming out of my fingers, and I can literally mold metal like a piece of clay.
Reilly is obviously a gifted artist, but what impressed me almost as much about Reilly's work is his ability to execute the technologies that it takes to render his art. It's almost as if he can do things because he simply doesn't know they can't be done.
My husband and I attended a Kansas City Art Institute student show. And then we met Reilly himself, and the young man is so engaging and so passionate about what he does.
Some of the artists I think that are coming through, they think art happens, twice a week. I think the computers made people sit down, armchair travelers and armchair artists at the same time. I come from a school of building, and it's physical and it's tangible.
Most artists in the 22, 23-year-old, they have not matured to the point to know which direction they're going. He's very mature for his age. He's focused on what he does. He works all day, every day doing his work, and he has a research base, a vast collection of books that lead him into the art projects that he develops.
Reilly Hoffman, a young artist. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago. When he was at the Kansas City Art Institute, it was a contest we were putting on for the young artists there in the sculpture department. And the idea was to have them design a piece of sculpture. We would then build it and auction it to raise money for scholarships. Last year we had another contest and Reilly's piece won.
Reilly was a real discovery to how he could make enormous heavy metal pieces look like they're floating in the air. He was smart enough to let us know when he was going to have pieces show up, and I think we were the first people in the door and fell in love with one particular piece called Oculus. And I ended up writing about it for KCAI magazine, and we knew eventually we had to own it for our own collection. Then we were thrilled to find out that while we have the baby piece, there's an 8-foot sculpture that was acquired by an art lover and will eventually be in his own yard.
Well, freedom would be like the process of making anything in the first place is an enactment of freedom and free will. Flight, yes. The ideas of feathers. I was brought up Catholic. A lot of the imagery really sticks with me. I really like the etchings and illustrations of Gustav Thor out of the Divine Comedy, or some of the stuff he did for John Milton's Paradise Lost. That imagery is, I don't know, for some reason it's always been really enticing to me. That along with nebulas and clouds in space. Like I kind of see them both the same way. Like the big coagulated ball of angels fighting each other is really similar to like the Horsehead Nebula to me.
I think Kansas City has always had a vibrant art scene. We're very lucky to have the Kansas City Art Institute and fabulous museums, and I think those attract students to Kansas City.
This is a wonderful place to start, and there's a great future for talented artists in this community. And the Kansas City Art Institute is putting a lot of incredible talent into the marketplace.
I opened his own gallery. It was the 3rd gallery down there. You had Jim Leedy, John over at the Dolphin, and then me. So what Zone did was allow us to have it in the Crossroads, still familiar area because you're between Crown Center and downtown. But, we could roll up the big door, do a drive-by and look in to make sure it was safe.
There's certain people that I think that have helped spark the influence of this art movement within this city. But it's really kind of taken on a life of its own, and it's really a lot of fun. If you walk around during the first Fridays, you see this incredible excitement with the population. Whether artists are making a lot of money or not, I'm not sure, but they're definitely getting exposure. And it's making the city a lot more interesting place to work.
My husband and I discovered First Fridays really when it was at its inception. And we've watched over the past years that it's become a street scene, a party.
I think they have upwards of 30,000 people that attend this thing on the first Friday of every month. It's a wonderful opportunity for young artists who are picked for solo shows in the art community. It's an opportunity for these artists to meet the general public, the corporate public, and it's just a wonderful time for them to get their work into this community.
We enjoy going to First Fridays because we see so many people being encouraged to come out and experience art in a non-threatening way.
I'm kind of on the far east side of the Crossroads downtown area. I frequent First Friday quite a bit, mostly in support of my friends who are having shows and other artists. I've been connected with a lot of artists lately. I'm really good friends with Jim Leedy. He's been a mentor and a friend. I don't know, I'm getting more connected. I'm also becoming more interested in collaborating with other artists in town as well. I kind of feel like the highest part of any discipline is creative thought, and that can be applied in any subject. Probably Michelangelo, Jackson Pollock, Einstein, Galileo, anybody who has a serious amount of drive and passion. Kind of like going to this process of like free association, like, and tying all these things together, which is a lot of my work is about. Like, you have one theme and then everything connects together. Like, you're working steel all day and you can taste it in your mouth and it tastes like blood. And well, the reason why blood tastes the way it does is because of the iron in it. And then, you know, what makes steel steel instead of just being iron is the amount of carbon in it, or carbon-based life forms. But while I'm working with that stuff, I feel like I'm in another place. Like, I used to have these dreams that I had like torch tips coming out of my fingers and I could claw into the material. And it wouldn't matter if it was steel or rocks or anything. Like, I feel really connected with matter, physical matter. We're all made of the same stuff. Everything in the universe is made from the same thing. And the heaviest element that a star can produce by itself is iron. That's what's in the core of just about every celestial body that is burning. It's in the core of our own Earth. It's this ball of iron. I was reading this book called Symmetry in the Beautiful Universe, and there's a line in there that says iron is the primordial blood of the universe. When I'm working with that, I feel kind of connected with that. I don't want to be a person, I want to be made out of pure energy. There's no difference between me and that concrete other than my consciousness. Well, at least when I'm working, that's how I feel. It's not a matter of controlling that material, it's a matter of communicating with that material. Well, essentially asking what it wants to be. Most people don't think of steel that way because it comes out of a mill and is prefabbed into these Lego parts that you can cut and put together, but I want to break all that down. And release that phoenix over and over again.
Oculus has curves cut in the crescent pieces that are actually cut with an oxidolin torch, freehand. The symmetry and the curves that he accomplishes using this fairly primitive tool is just amazing. Anyone that's had any experience at that and sees this piece knows right away that an expert has had that torch in his hand.
The rest of the country is starting to take notice of Kansas City. Tourism coming in, corporations are getting involved by supporting the arts. We have a philanthropic community in Kansas City that has always supported the arts, and that is continuing to grow. You see the Nelson and the new block building. You see the Nerman Gallery out in Johnson County, and more people are being able to see art. Columbus Park now is very vibrant and exciting, and I think that's going to just continue to propel Kansas City into the national scene.
What Reilly has done with his approach to his art, to his sculpture, is, I think, unique from what I've seen. I've seen nothing that is truly what you see is what you get. This is not a casting. This is actually made out of hard, cold material, steel, copper, brass, whatever, formed and cut and welded from that original substance into what you see as a piece of art.
He constantly wants to instill into these materials some of the philosophies that he's read, and those are his talents and his talents alone. Having an individual value and really holding on to that.
And a lot of times artists scramble to try to find themselves, but Reilly has found himself. And the community has found Reilly.
Actually, sometimes I wonder if that's what I want to do all the time. So it's a matter of realizing I am that and fighting whether or not to stay that way or to change. But at this point, I don't know anything else, and I wouldn't want to do anything else.